Hello, everyone. I've had a few requests for a flip through of my One Little Word album for 2019. My word was choose, and I think that's one quite a few people choose. And so maybe those of you who are thinking about that word were interested in seeing what I did with it. But I think that this is a good way just to get an idea of one way you could explore any word. I'm about ready to start my 2020 One Little Word. And I was going to do some work on that before making this video, but I think I'll just keep the two separate. So this one will just refer to the 2019 album I put together. I really love this project, so I'm going to try not to talk too much to make the video extra long, but I will flip through and say a little bit about what I did with each month. This is about the third or fourth year that I've done a full album, and you just kind of takes a little while to get into the groove, but once you get into the groove of doing these, they're not super time consuming and they're very rewarding. So anyway, this year I had the little tabs, as you'll see here on the transparency, for all the different months. I'm going to do that a little bit different for 2020. But anyway, this is the beginning of my album, Make It Visible. That's the whole point of this project, really. Not only that we have the word, but that we keep it in the forefront of our minds and we make it visible to ourselves on at least a monthly basis. And I feel like I really did live with my word in 2019, and it was so powerful, really powerful word. Okay, so my word was choose to start. This is January. One thing that I use the main kit that Ellie Edwards provides, and so you're going to see a repetition of these transparent cards with each month. And usually I backed it with a card that seemed kind of appropriate to the season. This is one from Coco Daisy, and it's a little Christmassy, but a little wintry. And then on the back of these cards, sometimes I write, sometimes in the case of January, since there's so much other writing in the section, I just have something motivational, like whatever you decide to do, make sure it makes your heart happy. That's a good way to think about my word choose. Just use some stamps stamped on pattern paper here to do my word, defined it. I love the quote part. So my quotation for choose: every human has 4 endowments: self-awareness, conscience, independent will, and creative imagination. These give us the ultimate human freedom, the power to choose, to respond to change. So that's a Stephen Covey quotation that was really perfect for my word and for my year 2019. Okay, I used some Studio Calico cards along with Ellie's cards here to invite certain things into the year: awareness of choices, better choices, assertiveness, strong sense of self and good boundaries, awareness of where my choices end and other people's begin, reason why. And then there's also, like, the beginning of the year is often like kind of the year ahead, answering some questions about it, what we want, what we fear, what we're excited about. And then intentions, I always break it down into different categories: physical, emotional, spiritual, relationships. So that is the first part of these albums, and it's really probably the most writing in any section, and it sets the stage for everything else. As Allie herself says, this is a really, really key part of the project. Okay, then I moved on to February, and every year these prompts come in a slightly different order. They're slightly different ones. And this year for February, we did the vision board that month. So again, just have a card backing the month card. Did a little bit at the end of the month to sum things up for the word. And then here's my vision board. As you see, I have a little title there. And I love to do it in this format. Since I'm using the 4x6 handbook, I love to do the 2x2 pockets in just like a paper collage with lots of little touches, little embellishments, and then, you know, to stamp my word. My boyfriend stamped my word on a coin too, early in the year, which was really cool. Okay, so that was February. March. This year in March, we did a daily practice. Now, believe me, if you know anything about me, I do monthly practices like throughout the year. And the one that I did in March was a little different because I didn't do a full 30 days. I did something a little more manageable for what is a busy month for me. And so it's a practice, and you can set it up in different ways. And my practice was drawing and painting a little bit every day. But then it kind of evolved early in the month when I decided to do a portrait drawing challenge, and the challenge only involved 8 portraits in watercolor, or at least I chose to do them in watercolor. And so it was so much fun to document that in this album because I chose to do the practice. I chose in different categories: scientist, musician, artist, actor, and so forth. And then, of course, I made a bunch of choices as I did the portraits. And so this was just like a really interesting early on in the year practice in what my word really means, all the different layers involved in choose. So yeah, and then also author, leader, athlete, queen to round out the 8. And it was fun to just put them in this format so that I will remember the practice. April, I'm trying to remember what we did in April. I know it was, my album this year is quite writing heavy. So, Easy Like Sunday Morning, Story of Today, April Stories. Again, did a little summary of the month at the end of the month. And then these are, I give myself permission. It was one prompt, and I just wrote. I am was another prompt. I am learning was another prompt. I feel most alive when. I'm really looking forward to going back and reading these and thinking about them in relation to the word. Anyway, that was the month. I did, as you see, I did a little bit of scrapbooking, embellishment, and so forth to go along with my cards, and mainly focused on butterflies. I think I was on a butterfly mode at the time. Okay, and that fits since it's April and we're looking forward to spring. Okay, May. For May, I, again, did a little summary card. Do what you love what you do. The word choose was perfectly captured by these two cards. So I wanted to make sure I included them in this album. Between stimulus and response, there's a space. In that space lies our power to choose, our response. In our response lies our growth and freedom. Viktor Frankl, great writer on this whole concept of the power of choice. Just a couple of photographs. Here, one is a project that I worked on in the month, did a little exploration of colored pencil through a class. Also kept a sketchbook, so here's my cow. And then, of course, embrace the season. Spring is such a wonderful time. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence is not an act, but a habit. I thought about that as I chose subjects for sketchbooks, the choice to keep one during the year, things like that. So I don't even really remember what the prompt was for that month. I think I just, just kind of went with it. I think it might have had to do with photographs. Okay, then June. More naps, please. And I did choose more naps in June than in any other month. That was a completely appropriate card for me. In June, it's like the middle of the year, so there's a progress report, the things that have happened with this word choose, a little bit of a checking in, similar to what we do in January. We go back and read what we wrote in January. So that was good. I think I got this in with some product and really loved it, so decided to put it in my album. So for July, I think I've posted some photos of this on Instagram. Again, a summary card. I did some watercolor based on what was inspiring me in an Allie Brown set of transparent cards from Illustrated Faith. And I just wanted to remind myself to keep going forward with the word. Very simple kind of, that's one thing we often do in Allie's workshop. One of the months is devoted to creative play while meditating on the word. And so trust the journey. This was my form of creative play for that month. I love this prompt coming up here in August, the story I'm telling myself. It's kind of based on some work by Brene Brown. And so I wrote about a number of different things that I'm telling myself that are connected to the word choose. Some some might be like self-talk that we want to just be aware of and maybe eliminate. Others is positive self-talk. I am loved for who I am. Big things happen one day at a time. I'm choosing to practice because I'm aware of that. Power. Use some of my favorite washi tape on these cards. Okay, so I guess that was August. September, I wrote a letter to myself and just had, you know, a little notation about the month back in the classroom. I'm a college prof. Here's a letter to myself about my word, about where I've come with it in the course of the year. Included a big photo on the back of a favorite t-shirt of the Great Lakes, a Midwestern girl living here in Michigan. Okay, and then October, I kind of layered up with some fall cards. And we had a thankful prompt for the fall, so choose thankful. Was able to put my word in there. I had a kind of, you know, Halloween party experience that actually was connected to a divorce that happened to me. I kind of got initiated on Halloween, so I have some charged up feelings about that, and it was really good to choose a kind of healing and returning to certain things I had stepped away from. And then just a bunch of little things I'm grateful about. Again, a picture of myself. I'm noticing in this album, other albums, I've included lots of pictures of family and friends. This one, it's like pictures of me and pictures of my art. For some reason, Choose kind of took that direction. Gratitude turns into what we have and gratitude turns what we have into enough. I don't know, I had such a hard time reading that. Okay, I read this book called The Art of Choosing, so I have a picture of the book and some thoughts, lessons learned from that book. I wanted to really like reflect on it, think about it for a little bit in November. And so I think the prompt was different, but I decided to use it that way. And that's another thing you can do with this project is just adapt it to where you're at the time. And so my word, we're making progress in a few different ways. I wanted to kind of assess what that was here toward the end of the year. December, again, a summary card with a little bit of a Christmas paper backing, facts and feelings. I also did a little December story about my boyfriend's mother who passed away, sadly, in December, and how she had gotten involved in one little word at the end of the year last year. It's a really cool story about how her word emerged after her death. Anyway, and then facts about what I did this year, just to skims the surface. I feel like there are so many facts I could have chronicled. And then feelings, lots of feelings. And I also love this last thing that appears in my albums, I want to remember. So the things to take forward and keep in mind as you say goodbye to your word. So anyway, that's my one little word album from 2019. Thanks for checking in. I hope this gives you guys some ideas and inspiration. I'll be back with a video about my 2020 album.